animal coordination, control, and homeostasis. Hormones. Human body has two communication systems, which are the nervous system and the endocrine system. Endocrine system sends hormones, which are chemical messengers around the body, to a target cell. When they reach a target tissue, they produce a response. It's made of glands which secrete hormones into the bloodstream. Glands. 1. Pituitary glands. This is the master gland and secretes hormones into the blood to have on the body or act on other glands to stimulate them to produce different hormones. 2. Pancreas secretes insulin and controls blood glucose levels. 3. Thyroid secretes thyroxine and controls metabolic rate, heart rate, and temperature. 4. Adrenal gland secretes adrenaline, and it's involved in the fight or flight response, which is the body's response to stressful situations. 5. Ovaries secretes estrogen, and it's involved in menstrual cycle and the development of female secondary sexual characteristics, which are different features that develop during puberty that distinguish a female from a male. 6. Testes secrete testosterone and are involved in production of sperm and development of male secondary sexual characteristics. Blood transports hormones to a target organ or tissue it has an effect on. Compared to nervous system, the hormonal system is slower, but it acts for longer. Adrenaline and the fight or flight response. Adrenaline is a hormone that's produced by adrenal glands to prepare body for fight or flight response. Fight or flight response is body's response to dangerous situations like being confronted by a dangerous animal. Fight or flight response includes 1. Increased heart rate, and this allows oxygen to reach muscles more quickly so we can move out of the path of danger. 2. Increased blood pressure. 3. Increased blood flow to muscles is blood vessels, means the vessels dilate to allow more blood to reach them. This allows them to contract with more strength and quickly. 4. Increased blood sugar levels mean the liver is stimulated to break down glycogen into glucose, which muscles can use to contract. Thyroxine and metabolic rate. Thyroxine regulates metabolic rate, which is how quick reactions happen. It's important in growth and development. Low levels of thyroxine stimulate production of hormone called TRH in hypothalamus. TRH causes release of TSH from pituitary gland. TSH acts on thyroid to produce thyroxine. When thyroxine levels have reached normal level, thyroxine inhibits release of TRH, which stops production of TSH. Level of thyroxine are controlled by negative feedback. When levels increase, it's detected by receptors in brain. This inhibits release of TSH, and this inhibits release of thyroxine, so levels of thyroxine fall. The menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle is processing the body undergoes each month to prepare for a pregnancy. Begins with lining of uterus breaking down and woman has her period. Layer then builds up again until ovulation, which is day 14. The egg is released from the ovary and moves to uterus by fallopian tube. If fertilized egg has not been embedded in lining after 28 days, it begins to break down and cycle happens again. Cycle controlled by 4 hormones, which are FSH, estrogen, LH, and progesterone. 1. FSH causes maturation of an egg and ovaries in a structure called a follicle, produced in pituitary gland and stimulate ovaries to produce estrogen. 2. Estrogen causes the lining of the uterus to grow again. It's produced in the ovaries and secreted because of FSH and stimulates production of LH and inhibits secretion of more FSH. 3. LH is produced in pituitary gland and because of the hormone estrogen, and this causes ovulation. 4. Progesterone is produced in ovaries and secreted from egg follicles. This maintains the lining of a uterus and supports pregnancy if egg is fertilized. It also inhibits the release of FSH and LH. Hormonal contraception and evaluating methods of contraceptions. Hormonal contraception. Contraceptive pill needs to be taken regularly, or body's hormones will be released leading to egg maturing. Mixed pill has estrogen and progesterone. So, estrogen levels are constantly high, which inhibits FSH, so no eggs mature. Lining stops developing and mucus in cervix becomes thick so sperm cannot move through. Side effects are changes in mood, mood swings, depression, breast pain or tenderness, breast enlargement, increased blood pressure. Progesterone-only pill has less side effects than mixed pill. Contraceptive patch has estrogen and progesterone. It's small and stuck on skin and lasts for 1 week. Contraceptive implant releases continuous amount of progesterone. This prevents ovaries from releasing egg, thickens mucus in cervix so sperm cannot swim, and stops fertilized eggs from embedding in uterus. Lasts 3 years. Contraceptive injections made of progesterone. This has the same effect as the implant and lasts 2 to 3 months. Plastic intrauterine device releases progesterone and has same effect as the implant. It's T-shaped and inserted into the uterus and lasts 5 to 10 years. Non-hormonal methods of contraception. Stop sperm fertilizing the egg. Chemical methods like spermicide, and these kill or disable sperm, but are only 70 to 80% effective. Barrier methods are like condoms and diaphragms. Condoms are worn over penis or placed into vagina. They help prevent individuals from contracting sexually transmitted diseases. Problem is that they can tear and let sperm through. Diaphragm is plastic cup that's positioned over cervix. It's used with spermicide. Copper intrauterine device kills sperm in uterus and stops fertilizing embryos from implanting in the uterus lining. Surgical methods of male and female sterilization are cutting and tying fallopian tubes or sperm ducts. These are normally permanent procedures, but in some cases can be reversed. Abstaining from intercourse means an egg isn't fertilized. Other only abstain when ovulating. IVF and assisted reproductive therapy. Fertility drugs used to increase chance of pregnancy. Main hormones used are FSH and LH because they stimulate maturation and release eggs. Woman then becomes pregnant normally. Another drug is called clomiphene, and this increases amount of FSH and LH release from hypothalamus, increasing chance that a woman will ovulate. IVF is another treatment. Mother is given FSH and LH to allow release and maturation of eggs. These are extracted from mother and fertilized in lab using sperm. Fertilized eggs develop into embryos, and then 1 or 2 are inserted in the uterus. Benefits. Provides a way for infertile couple to have a child. Drawbacks. Physically stressful as women might have a reaction to hormones like feeling sick. Emotionally stressful because it might not work, so success rate of IVF is 26%. Leads to multiple births which are unexpected and might be a risk to the babies and mother. Can be expensive if process is repeated. Homeostasis. Homeostasis is maintenance of constant internal environment. Mechanisms in place to keep conditions optimal and constant despite internal and external changes. Homeostasis important to maintain enzyme action and all cell functions like growth, replication, and controlled cell death. In human body, homeostasis controls blood glucose concentration, body temperature, and water levels. Nervous and neuronal communication is part of autonomic control system, which detect changes and respond to them. Control systems have receptors, which are cells that detect stimuli changes in environment. Coordination center, which processes information received from receptors like brain or spinal cord. Effector, which brings about a response to conditions in body back to optimum levels using muscle or gland. Insulin. Eating food that has carbohydrates in them increases the blood glucose levels. If glucose levels are too high, the pancreas produces hormone in insulin. Insulin binds to cell in target organs, muscles, and liver, so glucose moves from blood into muscle cells for respiration, and excess glucose is converted to glycogen, which is stored in liver. Blood glucose concentration is reduced. Glucagon. Exercising a lot uses glucose for respiration, and so there is less in blood. If glucose levels decrease, the pancreas produces hormone glucagon. Glucagon binds to liver cells, causing glycogen to be broken down in glucose. Glucose released into blood and increases blood glucose concentration. Blood glucose concentration is kept constant through using these two hormones. Work in negative feedback loop. When blood glucose levels increase or decrease a hormone is secreted to oppose changes. Action of hormones cannot happen continually because when blood arrives at a certain glucose concentration, the other hormone is produced, resulting in opposite effect. Causes and control of diabetes. Diabetes is disease where body can't control blood sugar levels. Type 1 diabetes is when pancreas can't produce enough insulin. This condition is congenital, like from birth. Blood glucose level can rise to fatal amount. Glucose is excreted with urine, and loss of urine is produced, making people feel thirsty. It's treated with insulin injections at mealtime, which result in glucose being taken up from bloodstream. Lit intake of simple carbohydrates, which contain lots of glucose. Doctors attempting to cure diabetes with pancreas and pancreatic cell transplant, and genetically engineer pancreatic cells from mice to make insulin. Type 2 diabetes is body cells no longer respond to insulin. Condition is normally done later in life. Blood glucose levels rise to a fatal amount. Obesity is risk factor for disease, and treatment include reducing number of simple carbohydrates in diet, losing weight, and increasing exercise. There are also drugs to make insulin more effective on body cells, help pancreas make more insulin, or reduce amount of glucose absorbed from gut. Body mass and diabetes risk. Body mass index over 30 is considered as definition for obesity. Obesity and being overweight are considered risk factors for developing type 2 diabetes. As body mass increases, risk of developing type 2 diabetes increases significantly. BMI is mass in kilograms divided by height squared, which is in meters. Waist-hip measurements can also be used to evaluate body mass, and so person risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Doctor may say somebody who is at risk of type 2 diabetes to take glucose tolerance test to examine how well their body produces insulin when it's needed.